As a former student of Hutton Grammar School, how proud of the school of Steve's achievements to date?
Yeah, we're very proud of him, and we let him know regularly. We send him. We're still in touch with him. So, but as a school, we're immensely proud. But it's everything he's strived for really, and he deserves everything he gets because he works so hard. And as even when he was a student here, we saw that was part of his mentality, was to strive as much as he can for achieving what he wants to achieve, really.
So, how much in contact are you with him now?
Yeah, regular contact. Obviously, I've just been to the game at the weekend. I texted him, spoke to his mum and dad at the ground. We go to see him regularly as well if we've been to see matches. So we saw him get his highest cap, a Premiership cap, which was a sort of hairs on the back of your neck moment. We've been down to Leicester to see him, and then also when he was at Saracen. So we've pretty much followed his career, but he's always kept in touch with the school, and which is really nice because he's never really forgotten his roots, his original roots and where he started playing rugby. So that's a big thing for us. But he's such a really nice, humble young man that, even when I sent him a text at the weekend, consoling him for having the defeat against Scotland, he still replies back, so which he doesn't need to do because I'm sure he's got plenty on his plate at the moment.
Did you always think he's destined for the top even at a young age?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when he started out, he was quite tall. He stood out on the field even as an under 12. And then as we started to progress through the years, they were a really good bunch of lads, and they were a great side. And for 2 years, pretty much they went undefeated. So when they were under 14s, they were invited to the North State schools, and Steve led that team on that, and we won that. That was a competition with lots of schools from different counties, state schools. It was held at Semper. And that was the start. That was the start of the journey for them, really, because the two teachers that had the team at the time, myself and Mike Worley, we decided that they're such a good side, we could probably take them to Australia. So we did some fundraising, took them to Australia, and Steve was a big part of the leadership of that. And then as he started to develop through that, you then start to see his England, first of all Lancashire, then North Lancs, and then England through the age groups, at under 16s. He got into the England under 18s as a 17-year-old in the lower sixth. So he had 2 good years there, and then obviously just continued from there.
Yeah. What qualities will he bring to the role? Obviously, first match under his belt. But what else will he bring in future years with World Cup coming up?
Well, yeah, I think you can probably tell from the press that actually the World Cup's not even. I'm sure he's thinking of it, but actually it's probably something that he's not even trying to contemplate at the moment. But I think a bit of clarity. I think the players will get the clarity. They'll get they'll obviously get the hard work that everybody as a professional has to do. But just that the fact he's quite humble as well. He'll get expertise in from different areas that he needs. He'll get a good coaching team behind him. And I think he's the type of person that the players want to play from. I think there's testimonies that have been in the press recently as well from ex-players, ex-coaches, show the measure of the man, and that he's really highly respected. So he's going to bring a lot of that, but also a lot of his knowledge. And I think it'll be his team, it'll be his coaching team's team rather than trying to mimic something else.
Was he always like a leader and a manager back in his young days as well for his team?
Yeah, oh yeah. He was captain probably from under 14s onwards. And, that sort of leadership quality came through. But the type of leader where it's not just about him, I think especially a team sport like rugby, where there's so many variables, you need a lot of leaders on the field. And, he brought a few through, through his team. And then obviously they got to the Daily Mail final, semi-final, against Coulston's, 1 game away from Twickenham. And he was so disappointed, his leadership qualities came through, but he was so disappointed mainly for the other players, because obviously he was going to have his opportunity at Twickenham, which he'd already had, and he knew that the other players might not get that opportunity. So he was more disappointed for them, I think, than he was for himself.
Yep. Is he always a role model for future students? Do you still use him as a benchmark for them?
Absolutely, yeah. You've hit the nail on the head there. That word benchmark. Yeah, he's an example, really. So any young man who's striving to become a professional, we've seen the journey that he's taken. So, but it's and the attitude that he had, and I think that's the thing. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you haven't got the attitude or the want to do it, the drive to do it, then it makes it much more difficult. And he's definitely the benchmark for us. Yeah.
You obviously went to the game on Saturday, a disappointing result for England, but do you still see promising signs?
I do, yeah. It was an amazing game. Scotland played so well. They used because I was sat behind the pitch, behind the goals, so you could see the width that they were creating, which obviously caused England a few problems with their defensive systems. I think that was one of the things that stood out a little bit. But as far as the attacking was concerned, there was some really positive aspects of play. Some of the players were carrying well. It was very direct. It was good. It was a great game to watch.
Yep, that's all I have.